Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell. You'll get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And when I'm not asking Bruce, hey, how big was Batista's? Well, you know. One of the things I like to do is help people save money. And if you're watching this video right now and you're in a 30-year loan, man, you're overpaying your single biggest bill and you may not even realize it. I want you to do a little experiment for me. Take your calculator out, multiply your monthly house payment by 360 payments. That's how many payments there are in a 30-year loan. That big scary number, that's your total of payments. You're looking at that number? You know you can do better. Keep more of your own money right now and go to savewithconrad.com. Or maybe you've got credit card debt. Man, it's not a matter of if I can save you money with that. Your average interest rate on a credit card is more than 20%. And by the way, all the interest you pay on those credit cards, it's not tax deductible. Whereas the mortgage interest, well, that is tax deductible. So if you owe this debt, it's up to you how to pay it back. Doesn't it make sense to get the cheapest rate possible and the greatest tax deduction possible? Find out how much money you can save right now for free at savewithconrad.com. You don't need perfect credit. Even scores in the 500s can be approved, and it's no cost out of pocket. But maybe best of all, we're licensed in more than 40 states. We can help more families than ever before. But how much can we save you? Find out right now for free with a quick quote from savewithconrad.com.
What happened when?
WHW Monday. And now, let's go to the ring. And here's your co-host. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to What Happened When? With the voice of your childhood, Tony Schiavone. Tony, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing great. The old comic book is
Keeping you busy.
Yeah, man. I've been doing some signings, and I've got C2E2 coming up this weekend in Chicago. I was at a comic book store this past Saturday, Infinite Comics and More, Games and More, in Tucker, Georgia. Stayed there most of the day. Sold out of books. And we've had people on Patreon say, hey, I've gone to my comic store. Where's my book? Well, guess where the books are? They're on a fucking ship docked outside of LA.
Oh, like everything else.
Like everything else. Isn't that something?
Yeah, dude. We did the whole lake deal this year, and we went to, remodel the bathrooms and stuff. So we ordered some sinks and faucets and toilets and all that jazz.
Right.
4 months for a toilet. How about that?
I don't get how they're sitting on a ship. I don't get that. There's no logical way that anybody can explain that to me that I'm going to buy.
No, I totally agree.
Get on the fucking ship and get your shit. All right. Get on the fucking ship, get your fucking crew off their fucking ass, and get on your fucking ship and take it off.
Well, the gimmick is there's nobody. First of all, they're understaffed, and then secondly, the storage containers, taking up too much space, and so there's a lot of stuff that even once it's quote unquote off the ship, they can't get it off the docks there. There was a whole 60 minutes piece about this. I'll find the link and send it to you, but it's almost chicken and the egg. It is a problem, but we got no problems here on WHW because we're still enjoying 1986. So fire up your Peacock. Things are back to normal. We've had a whole rash of really short shows, but now with college football winding down back in 1986, I presume we're done with these 1 hour broadcasts and we're back to our regularly scheduled 2 hour block of World Championship Wrestling. So it's season 2, episode 48. That's where we're going. December 6th, 1986. The date that will live in infamy. This is going to be a pretty big time show. We've got a main event that's unlike what we normally see here on TBS. And as a result, I'm itching to get going.
All right.
So without further ado, fire up your Peacock, season 2, episode 48. We want you to go to 000 and make sure you mute it. Tony and I will give you some alternate commentary. And Tony, we're going to do a countdown. And when we say play, you'll press play. But I think last week's countdown was so well received and it got so much traction on social it's going to be our new permanent stand-in whenever we don't have a fun, one of our supporters from ad-free shows or WHW Patreon, whenever we don't have one of their countdowns. I think this should be the go-to. What say you, Tony?
I think it's our regular countdown now.
I love it.
First of all, Steph Chesney, who is a good guy and a low-key big hog, put a lot of effort into it, and is a talented guy and is a musician, big time out in L.A. Put a lot of effort into this. It was done on video on thanks to Chris McDonald on social media. But, yeah, it's been well received, and I think it's worth listening to again. So without further ado, let's go to Steph Chesney with our countdown. Remember, the countdown at the end of this song is very quick. 3, 2, 1, play. So you got to hit play, listen closely. Here we go.
You know it's all about you!
Let me tell you something, you little skinny motherfucker. I will beat your ass, plus I will beat your ass in video games. I know that you're freaking lying. How's it gonna feel to go back to Connecticut and tell the fuckers that an old 63-year-old man beat your ass?
What you're waiting for? I know you know the score. 3, 2, 1, play!
Bringing you great wrestling action, sanctioned by the NWA, National Wrestling Alliance. World Championship Wrestling is brought to you by Weider. For equipment, nutrition, and information, Weider is America's total fitness company.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is only one Starcade. And Tony, there's only one American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. And we saw his entrance there. You saw Tully on the side. It's a shame right now. The new World Television Champion is Tully Blanchard.
However, David, during Starcade, what an event it was. The Rock and Roll Express and the Andersons in the cage.
What a battle that
What a
was.
battle that was. The Rock and Roll Express still world tag team champions. Ric Flair still the world heavyweight champion.
Hey, what about the arm of Ricky?
The arm of Ricky Morton.
I
That's
mean,
exactly
talking
right.
about a battle, ladies and gentlemen. They went through it.
Well, they knew once they got into a cage, it would be a brutal match.
Yes.
And it really was. It was a tremendous match. And the Rock and Roll Express hold on to the World Tag Team title. Now, the Buckhouse Stampedes are underway during the month of December, and they have been very brutal so far.
Yes, they have.
And many more to go. Potential to win a lot of money for a lot of athletes. Here today, all the top stars of the NWA, including Tully Blanchard, the World TV Champion, Ric Flair, the World Heavyweight Champion. Barry Windham is with us here today.
The Road Warriors.
The Road Warriors are here with us, the Rock and Roll Express and many others. And these two men right here, the United States Tag Team Champions, Nikita Koloff, Chrysler Khrushchev, still holding onto their titles, even after Starcade.
You mentioned all these teams, but we're out to prove why we're the #1 team, why we're the United States Tag Team Champion. Why don't some of these teams come and challenge us? And I'm going to go after you, Nikita, Crusher, and myself. You know, when you first went over to Dusty Rhodes and had your thinking change to American ways, I thought after a few days you'd come to your senses and you'd try and call us or write or something. But no, nothing. So I guess you made up your mind. We're convinced of that now, Nikita. Well, you can look at it this way. There's going to be justice coming down on your head and your friend there now, Dusty Rhodes. Russian justice. Whole country where, like I said before, you better look at it this way, that you have committed the crime and you've been sentenced and we're passing out the execution. So don't cheat us of this. Stand up and fight like a couple of men. Don't run away like cowards and avoid us. You see, Nikita, I see you've been successful. We're very close to coming and taking world title away from Ric Flair. And I know down deep, that's what you're after. But in long run, you're going to find out that it's not going to be a dream fulfilled. Even with your friend, Dusty Rhodes, you're both going to go down and pay the penalty.
Now, during the night of the Skywalker match, a lot happened, including an injury to Jim Cornette. And Jim is not here today, but someone else is here with the Midnight Express.
That's right, Tony. And I don't think we should tell him who's going
I
to
think we'll let you look a little bit later on.
Yeah,
Right now,
we
let's
did.
go to our World TV title match.
That's right. In the
So we're going to Tully Blanchard versus Mike Jackson. And this was 35 years ago. And I just want you to know these guys still look the exact same. Mike Jackson still looks like Mike Jackson from 1986. And Tully Blanchard with about $20 worth of Just for Men would look identical.
Yeah, Tully is. I mentioned this to Tully. I said, "Congratulations, buddy. You have stayed in shape through all these years, and it hasn't been easy." But yeah, I agree with you. He has. I thought it was interesting at the open of that. Apparently, there was an entrance
Package.
a package or something that was cut off.
Yes.
That we didn't get to see because we referenced that. And
It feels like that was cut out because of the music.
right.
You know, I want to mention too, we had resident NWA 1986 Jim Crockett Promotions expert, Mr. DoodooTrucking.com himself, Jet Jewett, as we call him.
Jet. Okay.
Well, because buddy, if he's taking a shit at my house, he will fly down the stairs to tell me I clogged it up again. I'm sorry. Anyway, I wanted to mention he actually corrected all three of us, me, yourself, and of course Mr. David Crockett, when we were watching Starrcade 86 about Dusty's entrance music. That night he actually came out to a Huey Lewis and Hank Williams Jr. song called "You Can't Judge a Book." And
wow,
what an entrance. Take a listen here. We'll play a little bit before we get in trouble.
Okay.
You get the idea.
Yeah, I get it. How did he know that?
He is almost Rain Man-esque about Jim Crockett Promotions. It's his favorite time in wrestling ever. He's collected every possible thing that you could from that era.
Tapes, I guess.
Yeah, I mean everything. But he would just like pre-network, just throw a tape in, throw a DVD in, and yeah, so he's just watched it backwards and forwards 100 times. So he knows that show very, very well. And that song apparently made an impression on him. When he told me, I have to admit, I was like, Huey Lewis did a song with Hank Williams Jr. I don't remember that.
Wow.
But then I heard the song and I was like, okay, that's a pretty badass Dusty Rhodes song. You can't judge a book by looking at the cover. That's pretty good.
That is cool. That really is. Hey, it looks like here, if it looks like Tully's forehead's getting ready to open up here. And if that's the case, then we probably had to shoot around it. And again, guys had cut their forehead so much that it was thin, the skin was thin, and those cuts could open up easily. There, you see it? See right there?
Well, we're not too, I guess we should mention the show we watched last week was actually taped before Starrcade.
Right.
On the 23rd. Starrcade went down on the 27th. The next day, you're at the Coliseum in Richmond, Virginia. 9,000 folks there on the 28th.
Yeah.
Bloomington, Minnesota on the 29th. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on the 29th. Peoria, Illinois on the 30th. Fayetteville, North Carolina on the 1st. Rock Hill on December 2nd. Raleigh, North Carolina in Dorton on December 3rd. Columbus, Georgia on December 4th. Hampton, Virginia on December 5th. Central States ran the show in Kansas City, Kansas on December 5th. And then you guys are here the morning of December 6th, taping the show that we're watching right now.
Right. And that's why we kind of talked about Starrcade in the open. Starrcade was actually a couple of weeks ago in reality. But we talked about it because that's our first chance to talk about it on TV.
Yes.
So that's why we kind of talked about it. Look at JJ. Watch him, Tony. They always gave Mike Jackson a lot, didn't they?
Mike Jackson is one of the more well-rounded mechanics, I think is the old term that people used to use.
Right.
I mean, Mike Jackson had a TV match just a couple of years ago for Impact.
Yeah.
And by the way, Mike Jackson here looks 50 years old.
I know.
Mike Jackson and JJ Dillon and Arn Anderson used to get together before the shows, get on the rocking chairs out in front of TBS and whittle wood. And yet here they are. And look at this, the slingshot suplex, and that'll get it done.
Yeah. Handy for the pin. And now he starts to strut his stuff. Look at JJ.
Look at JJ.
These men are still the World Tag Team Champions. Starcade, you took a tremendous beating. I don't know how you came out as champions, but you did, and you're still the champions. Now the Bunkhouse Stampede is on, and I know you're looking forward to that, even though you got a lot of injuries.
That's right, Tony. First of all, I'd like to thank all the nice people that stood behind the Rock and Roll Express through thick and thin. Because we told you, baby, that 202, that the Rock and Roll Express could beat any tag team in the world today. And that's just what happened with the Andersons. You see, but they're trying to wear us down my arm. But having injuries in professional wrestling today, Tony, is a part of anything. That's a part of wrestling. Going to the ring with injuries, knowing how to take care of yourself, baby. But we don't think the matter is that we still are the World Tag Team Champions. You see all these people out here? That's what we stride on, Tony. That's what we stride on. Look at all the smiles on these people's faces. That's what the Rock and Roll Express is all about. That's right. We are champions. The doctors told us, Rock and Roll, you got to take off for a couple of weeks. Right. But brother, we can't do that, Tony. The bunkhouses are around. We have been in all the bunkhouse matches, baby, and we're right here. And Rock and Roll is here to stay, baby. Woo! All right.
And we'll be back right after this.
How about those 25th anniversary championship belts? The two-tone looks awesome, doesn't it?
Yeah, tremendous. Absolutely. And Ricky could really get the crowd going too, couldn't he? Man.
And had that arm bandaged up. Look at this.
All of this, Baby Doll with the Midnight Express and Big Bubba.
Because you see, Jimmy Cornette laid up in a hospital bed. He's had knee surgery because of what the scaffold matches have done to him, because that is the most dangerous match in professional wrestling. And Road Warriors, tonight in Cleveland, it's all over for you, because the Midnight Express is under my care, baby. There's no, we're out of control. And Road Warriors, once you get to the top of that scaffold and you start looking at the Midnight Express, that's when you know that that's your end. And tonight in Cleveland, that's the beginning of it.
Let me tell you something, Tony Schiavone. And you too, you big goons, Road Warriors. If you think for 1 second, fella, that this is all over, you're badly mistaken, Jack. 'Cause I'm going to tell you something. Tonight in Cleveland, Ohio, you're going down. You're going down, way down, fella, because I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen. You think just because you hurt one of the Midnight Express, it's all over. Everybody gets to laugh. Everybody gets to party. No, sir, baby. You are so very wrong, because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen tonight in Cleveland. When we get on top of that scaffold, brother, we're going to get your head. And everything that's open on your head, we're going to close. And everything that's closed, we're going to open. And then we're going to throw you off the scaffold like a big sack of potatoes. And let me tell you something, baby. If you think I'm mistaken, I'll show you tonight. Right, Bob?
If anybody thinks they're going to get after me, well, the baddest man in town is here. Bubba's going to take care of me, baby.
Okay, Baby Doll, the Midnight Express, and Big Bubba all together. Let's go back to the ring.
What a year it's been for Baby Doll.
Good God.
Brad Armstrong about to take on Vernon Deaton. But back in August, as you'll recall, Dusty Rhodes was challenging Ric Flair for the world title. And in the middle of the match, it looks like Baby Doll put Ric Flair's foot on the bottom rope.
Right.
And what do you know? Baby Doll was then with Flair. And all of a sudden, after feuding for months with Baby Doll, Jim Cornette had to go on TV and say, you know, even though we don't still see eye to eye, Mama loves watching Baby Doll now. So we laid a little bit of groundwork in late August, but here we are in early December, and I'll be damned, Baby Doll is out there with the Midnight Express.
Wow, she had just kind of run the gamut, and the reason she's here is because Cornette's still laid up.
Yeah, he blew out both knees. That match is probably the most famous Midnight Express match ever. And I understand it was a spectacle, but man, in hindsight, if that's all you ever saw of the Midnight Express, you do not know what you were missing.
Exactly. I guess You're right. I guess it's the most talked about, most famous because of the spectacle of it and the build up to it. But it ain't the best Midnight Express match.
Oh, not by any stretch. But I think,
mean,
and I was guilty of this as a kid. Oh, how about that Russian leg sweep, float over?
It was tremendous, buddy.
The Russian leg sweep with a float over pinfall.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, we've seen arm bars here on Jim Crockett be finishes. Drop kicks are finishes. But that Russian leg sweep, that actually looks like a really good finish there. Take a listen.
And his man, the Raging Bull, Ravishing Rick Rude.
You know, Tony Schiavone, you come out here and you had the Blues Brothers out here is what it sounds like. Somebody out here singing whiny songs and crying about some injuries. You know, all my life, I've been an injured man, but every time it came to doing something, I got it done. And when double R's get together, the Protectors Agency, the ultimate twosome, or the awesome twosome, the number one tag team in the world today. You're going to find out rock and roll. We don't sing no blues, baby. We come out singing heavy metal. And what it's all about is that metal you got around your waist. And we don't want to hear about nobody, injuries or nothing, daddy. You, sooner or later, are going to face the ultimate challenge of a lifetime. The Ravishing One and the Raging Bull. The double R's are coming to town. Are we not, Ravishing?
That's right, Bull. You know, Ricky Morton was crying the blues, talking about his bad arm. But you see, the fact of the matter is, Ricky Morton, that's what separates the great athletes from just the good athletes. The ability to deal with pain. You have to deal with injuries. Ricky Morton, I think the problem with you and Robert Gibson isn't in any of your body parts. It's inside. You ain't got no guts. What about it, Paul? You know something? They've been babied by Jim Carter Promotions, but let me tell you something, rock and roll. You say that you're not 100%. That you've been injured. Well, let me tell you something. If you're 100%, my men only have to be 50% to be equal. Now, that silver spoon sticking out of your mouth, this is a team right here that can run it down your throat. Now, you can run, you can hide, you can do anything you want, but you've got to face these men. The people want to see it because they want to see a champion that they don't have to worry about losing the belts every time they defend it.
That's one of the top stars of the NWA, including Ric Flair, the Superpowers, Barry Windham, and more, right after College Football Scoreboard.
College Football Scoreboard. So we're winding it up. That must have been like championship weekend. Oh my gosh, look who it is.
That now Baby Doll walks around with the Midnight Express and Big Bubba talking about the scaffold.
That's right, Tony. Tonight, Cleveland, Ohio, scaffold match. I saw Baby Doll out here. You know, she's talking about herself and Jim Cornette. Well, there isn't very much difference between Baby Doll and Jim Cornette's femininity. You know, they're kind of the same thing. Now tonight, Cleveland, Ohio, we're the guys that said what we were going to do, and we did. Cornette got in our face, and we put him out of wrestling for a long while. Midnight Express, you two morons, you're next. And Baby Doll, if you don't have any chances, remember, we're the guys who don't care. You want to get involved in our scaffold, you climb up. But you're a hook or myself, I'll throw you right off, right, brother? That's right, animal. Tony Schiavone. Do you know how every other tag team in professional wrestling rates himself? They go up against the Warriors because then they know whether they're men or boys. And matter of fact, they've all turned out to be boys because we're the only men in this sport. I appoint the scaffold, the Skywalkers, Animal, Hawk, and Precious Paul, way up 30 feet over the ring. You think we're going down? Not a chance. At the end of that match, it's going to be Hawk, Animal, Precious Paul, waving to the crowd. It's going to be two more guys, the Midnight Express, grabbing their legs from the impact of hitting that mat. And speaking of legs, you tried to read your mind, and it didn't work. Well, it's not going to work. But I'll tell you what, when you plummet 30 feet, you feel that ring, and you feel your knees buckle. You're going to be right along in the bed in the hospital with Cornette, and your legs hanging up in the stinking air because you can't take it, and we can. First of all, I was listening to Baby Doll. I find it very interesting that you said she's out of control. Well, Baby Doll, you are, because you're a population explosion all by yourself. Now, Tony Schiavone, I want to also reiterate, along with the scaffolds and the bunkhouses around the country, I've signed a lot of six-man title matches with Dusty Rhodes as a partner with the Road Warriors, and we're looking forward to defending those titles.
Okay.
Paul Ellery and the Road Warriors, as he said, 2/3 of the world six-man tag team champions, along with Dusty Rhodes. Let's go back to the ring. In the ring now.
Arn Anderson going to be taking on Alan Martin. So we're treated to some really good wrestling. Let's recap so far. Tully Blanchard, Brad Armstrong, and Arn Anderson.
Yeah.
Have there been three better wrestlers to start a wrestling show that you can recall? I mean, my goodness.
That's good. And all three of them are, kind of giving their opponent a little bit, especially Tully did. Yeah, we got good wrestling. I want to bring up something here. First of all, fucking Road Warriors. Their presence still, every time you see it, doesn't matter how many times you see it.
Yep.
You got to look at it. I mean, the way they look, the way they talk, it was one of those things where fans would say, "Oh, those fuckers are real."
Yes.
And Arn Anderson would tell you that sometimes when you go in the ring against them, it was a real fight too. Well, anyway, but Barry Windham's here.
Oh, and he looks phenomenal. I watched this last night.
Yeah.
And, I think we all think of Barry Windham here in the promotion in 87, but he had to make the jump at some point. So
right,
we're going to see him look like $1 million here on this very program. And the main event tonight of our program is the Rock and Roll Express defending their tag team championship.
Mm-hmm.
And 1986, I don't think it can be overstated how important the Rock and Rolls were to the business overall. But it is something you and I have talked about before, that for whatever reason, it feels like it starts winding down.
Mm-hmm.
The Rock and Roll Express first won the tag team titles in July of 85, beating the Russians. And they debuted not too long before that. So they were the new hot team.
Right.
They won it in July, dropped it in October, won it back at Starrcade 85. What a moment that was.
Right.
They dropped it at the Superstars on the Superstation, which we watched together earlier this year, Tony, on February 2nd. They won them back August 16th, 1986. And they're going to have one more run, which happened in May of 87. And after that, man, it's really not the same for the Rock and Rolls anymore. And I want us to talk about that a little bit today as we see the Gourd Buster, another move that I believe Arn Anderson invented. That's his finishing maneuver in this era, and that gets it done. Take a listen to this.
Hours walked out, Nikita Koloff and the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
You know what, Tony Schiavone, there's a storm of brewing across this great land of ours. Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, and Nikita Koloff are in the eye of that storm. We know what it's like to be in the eye of the storm. Nikita, my man, got me dressed up for Siberia, brother, but remember this. Nikita Koloff, the only man, Ivan Koloff, can walk around Siberia without a shirt on. Don't you be coming out here, Ivan Koloff, start running down Dusty Rhodes, much less Nikita Koloff. You're talking to the American Dream. You over here, Daddy. Whatever Nikita did, he did it because he wanted to, and he has no law. He has nobody to answer to but himself, just like Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. Meet your boy Ric Flair, color yourself pretty, you understand? Oh, Lord, isn't he pretty? Big cars, fancy rings. Some of the ladies aren't as pretty as he makes them out to be, you understand? You can always find the dog at 3 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? And most of them be roofing. But Dusty Rhodes gets his around 9. Cocktails, dinner, and lunch, and then evening play, you understand? Them are the ladies of the evening. The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, comes for Tully Blanchard now, wearing something belong to me. You understand? You need to buy you something. You need to go get you something while you can, because the money now gonna come back to Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. Nikita Koloff, they gonna eat some steel in the next upcoming weeks around this country. Yeah, I'm pretty. I know I'm pretty, but I'm most of all the baddest man around in the world today. Nikita Koloff can do it anytime.
You know, Starrcade, American Dream was a big test for Nikita. You see, I learned many different things about you, Ric Flair. I learned I can thank you, how you like to say, you best shot, you figure 4, and you know defeat me. I know quit, I know give up. I know, Ric Flair, you cannot defeat me, and I know I can defeat you. You see, it's going to take one mistake, and you're going to get hit with a Russian sickle, and you're going to go down. You see, Ric Flair, it's a far from over. And to you, Uncle Ivan, you say, I have a dream to be world heavyweight champion. What are you right? And you say you're going to try and stop me. You're going to try to ruin. Or maybe you forget. American Dream said before, for me, there is no law. You see, you cannot stop me. I know I go to Kremlin, to nobody. Uncle Ivan, you stay out of my face. American Dream, Ric Flair is far from over. I will be new world heavyweight champion someday.
Those superpowers. And back with more right after this timeout.
What an iconic promo from Dusty Rhodes in a fur coat, no less.
Oh.
Woof woofing.
I know. I always find a dog at 3 o'clock in the morning, and that popped me, and it still does.
Paul, you're back down here. What's going on?
I'm not scheduled to be out here right now, but when we left here, my men and I, we were talking about the Rock and Roll Express, and the more we talk about it, the hotter we got. So I told him, I said, take your time. I'll get you the title match. When do you want it? Next month? And they said, we want it now. The timing is right now. So I talked to Mr. Crockett, Mr. Jim Crockett, and I got his blessing. Now, let me tell you something, Rock and Roll Express. I'm standing right here before millions of people on national television. So you say that you did this and you did that and you're true champion. Well, I'm giving you an opportunity to make a lot of money right here on television. Put up the belts against Ravishing Rick Rude and the Raging Bull right here. And, you know, it may work out in your favor because millions of people will see who the best is. And let me tell you something. If you got any guts, you'll take this challenge.
A challenge issued from Paul Jones of the Rock and Roll Express. Let's go back to the ring.
About it.
Yeah, so we're going to get that match.
And it's going to be like a 4-segment match. They're actually going to come out and sign it a little bit. But look at Baby Doll coming out here with Midnight Express and Bubba. And what a cool look this is for Baby Doll, too. I like Baby Doll wearing all black like a heel.
Right, with gloves. I like that, too. Absolutely. And I like Dennis Condrey says, what was it that he said? And he said, head instead of head. Real Southern.
I love that. But what I liked about him was when he said, everything that's open on your head, we're going to close it. And everything that's closed on your head, we're going to open it. That was so great, dude.
That's Southern stuff, man. That's great Southern stuff. Now, let me, we can talk more about this in a little bit, but when Barry Windham comes out, he has returned from the WWF, right?
Yeah. You know, Barry Windham is one of those really interesting characters in wrestling history. Like, I don't know what was missing or he should have been one of the biggest stars in all of professional wrestling.
No doubt.
And this guy had a run in the WWF. I mean, let's process this. He's on the first WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
He's a tag team champion here at the height of the rock and wrestling, whatever.
Right.
And then he goes to the AWA and Championship Wrestling from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, so let's process what we're talking about here. He's on WrestleMania. Then he's on maybe one of the last big AWA shows, Wrestle Rock 86. And then he has maybe one of the best matches in television history at that point. Battle of the Belts from Championship Wrestling from Florida, Valentine's Day, 1986. Seriously, when that match happened, Dave Meltzer wrote in the Observer, it might be the best hour of professional wrestling that ever aired anywhere on any continent. Wow. And then here in the fall of 86, he's going to show up in Jim Crockett Promotions, and he does not win the world title in 86, in 87, in 88, in 89. And then he's back in the World Wrestling Federation, and he's going to try his hand as the Widowmaker.
Widowmaker. I remember that.
And when he comes back to work for Vince, in his debut, he's calling out Hulk Hogan, much like here today, he's going to be calling out Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me, at least tells me the powers that be in both the NWA and the WWF, they really think there's a future with this guy. Like he could be a top act. He could be their world champion, but it just doesn't happen. By the way, Baby Doll did a little commentary on this match too, explaining, well, why would you do this? Why would you be with the Rock and Roll Express? And she said, well, they're a winning team and that puts more money in my pocket. So there's your explanation as the Midnight Express makes short work here of their opponents.
I think it's interesting that, and going to another subject here, how we moved on. Paul Jones had come out talking about the Rock and Roll Express, but the fans wanted to chant Bald-Headed Geek.
Yes.
But he didn't react to it at all because that was not the angle.
That's right.
He was moving forward. And the angle is now the Rock and Roll Express. Oh, here he is.
Still the world heavyweight champion, none other than Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Get a shot at this one time, boys. This is what all of them are wearing on Wall Street, Danny, huh? Let's check this out one time. You know, Tony Schiavone, obviously, there's a lot of very intelligent people around this world that follow and watch and live day to day for professional wrestling. So I ask you, when I walk out here, there's obviously a clear-cut difference between me and Dusty Rhodes, for instance, Nikita Koloff, for instance, the Road Warriors, for instance. You see, you know, when I walk out here, you are looking at what we have come to know as championship material. You know what I'm telling you? When I walk out here and tell you that I'm the world champion, you know what I got to back it up? I got this. $40,000. It's mine. Got my name on it. And you know why I got it? Because I make my living stepping out of all these custom-made clothes and beating up guys like Dusty Rhodes, Nikita Koloff, Barry Windham, the Road Warriors, Brad Armstrong, Walter McDaniel, Ronnie Garvin. It makes no difference. The bottom line is, I am the best wrestler in the world today. Now, why do you want to take a man like me and put me, come on over here, Mr. David Crockett, and put me in a bull rope chain match? Not my specialty. And I'm telling you, and I'm serving notice to you, that Tony Blanchard, another world champion, and I are fed up with all these contracts. No more bull ropes, no more chains. You got 2 more weeks, and that's it. But now I'm telling you that because I have amassed the wealth, because I'm a big man on Wall Street as well as the ring, no more bull ropes, no more chains. In other words, we go right back to the basics. I defend this, or I don't work for you. In other words, send a limousine to the castle if you want me to work for you again. Now, one more time. It's the time of the year when all the women around the world are thinking about Christmas. So you know what I give you? I give you a mink coat. I give you Ric Flair. Nobody should be better than the world heavyweight champion, the world television champion, broken arm. But I tell you what, in the next few weeks, you people are going to find out what it's all about. Because I tell you what, Flair dictates the rules on this, and Kelly Blanchard Enterprises dictates all the rules on the World Television Championship. And you people are going to find out just exactly why the world don't be wrapping us up. Don't be wrapping us up until we tell y'all. Baltimore, Philadelphia, Chicago, the 4 horsemen, woo, are going to tear it down.
All right. Let's go to the ring.
And here's Barry Windham going to be taking on Randy Barber.
Yeah.
This is such a fun match to see. I mean, Barry Windham had the height, he had the look, and he was just smooth, man. I mean,
yeah.
I think you could argue here in 86, if he's not the best wrestler in the world, he's top 3.
No, he is the best wrestler in the world. He really is. Well, I guess Ric Flair is going to argue that. I get it, but I Flair was tremendous because of his psychology and the things he could do, and he was athletic, and his cardiovascular training was great. But to me, Barry Windham was the best athlete out there.
Well, here's the thing. I think whenever you lump Flair into that conversation, whenever people talk about Flair, yes, they talk about his matches.
Yeah.
That almost takes a back seat to him doing like what we just saw him do. And frankly, Barry Windham in 100 lifetimes couldn't do what Ric Flair did on a microphone.
Yeah, right.
But when the bell rang, buddy, this was good stuff. And the bulldog is a finishing maneuver. What a different time it was. But and by the way, how about the horsemen there getting a huge ovation from the crowd?
Yeah.
Even though they're bad guys, the fans really love the four horsemen.
Well, the horsemen are over. Oh,
here we go.
We'll make a match.
Along with the Rock and Roll Express and Paul Jones are all here. Paul Jones has presented me with a signed contract for his men to meet the Rock and Roll Express here on national television today. Ricky and Robert, I'd like to tell you, as champions, you don't have to sign this contract.
Let me tell you something, Jimmy. We are wrestling champions, and we'll wrestle Manny Fernandez, Rick Rude, anytime, any place. Here you go. I'll sign the contract right now. But let me tell you something, DQ. We'll be ready in 5 minutes. You go back there, and you get your team, your so-called team, talk about guts. We got more guts right here, and both of them got their whole stinking body.
I'll be ready. Sign it.
Okay.
Up front of your mouth and sign it.
There it is. Sign, show the little big boy.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Crockett.
I'll hold on to that. And this match will take place in approximately about 10 minutes, as soon as they can get dressed.
We will be there, baby. Just have them there.
Okay, right here today for the World Tag Team title. The contract was signed right here. We're coming right back. Don't you dare go away.
Hang on to you.
What a main event that is.
Wow. And by the way, Robert, we don't need you to sign it. Ricky, you just signed it. That's good enough. I thought that was cool.
Okay, fans, we're back with you on World Championship Wrestling. You heard it from Mr. Jim Crockett Jr. A match for the World Tag Team title. The Rock and Roll Express here today will defend against the Raging Bull and Ravishing Rick Rude with Paul Jones. We have about another hour to go in World Championship Wrestling. That match will be for television time remaining as soon as we get finished with another match that we'll go to in just a few seconds. But right now, you saw him just a few minutes ago in a great win, and good to have Barry Windham back with us here.
You know, I tell you, listen to him. They're so excited, more excited. I tell you, I have not seen people excited like this. I'm so excited about everything that's going on here. You got the Rock and Roll Express about to have a World Championship match right here. You got Ric Flair out here screaming, ranting and raving about, hey, I want that World Heavyweight Championship, and I want to wear it around my waist. Ric Flair, that's why I'm here. Now, something else. Jerry Allen, Magnum TA, the best friend of mine in the whole world. He's fighting back. He's going to be stronger than he ever was before. Jerry Allen, everybody out here loves you, and I love you. Dusty loves you. It's in our heart. We know you're going to be better. Now, I'm going to go back here and get with the Rock and Roll Express because they've got the biggest match ever coming up. I want to watch this. I'm going to sit down right over there.
Okay, Barry Windham, good to have him back. We have another match. Let's go back to the ring.
And here we
So now the Russians are going to be taking on the Mulkeys, and buddy, the Mulkeys do their best sell jobs, maybe of their careers in here. They're going to be flying all over the place, in particular for one half of the Future Demolition. But, you know, we touted and talked about how great Barry Windham was. And you and I both think he's probably either 1A or 1B for the best wrestler in the world here in 86.
Yeah.
Certainly in America. But, that promo, I'm just so excited, and I've never seen so many people so excited, and all the exciting things that it's like, oh god.
Yeah, I've thought the same thing. I thought he used excited like 4 times there in the span of 30 seconds, and yeah, there it was. I mean, we saw it. He can work, but he couldn't talk really.
I know for sure that he was a valuable part of the Horsemen, and we're going to talk about that a little bit in 1987 because we are going to continue to at least cover the big things that happened for Jim Crockett Promotions in 87, the big angles, the big matches, the big storylines,
right?
Memorable interviews and all that jazz. But imagine for a minute if he didn't become one of the Horsemen, he being Barry Windham, pronouns pal, and instead James E. Cornette was his mouthpiece. Cornette was only managing at this point Bubba and the Rock and Roll Express, but we would see in another iteration of Cornette in the WWF, him be the mouthpiece for Yokozuna and Big Van Vader. And buddy, if he could have, if Corny's doing the talking, but he's got a stallion in the stable, I mean, could there have been anybody to stop a heel Barry Windham with Jim Cornette as the mouthpiece? That would have been tremendous.
It would have been tremendous. I agree. I agree that he needed somebody to be able to talk for him. His father, Blackjack, was one of the better talkers in the business. Back when he was Blackjack Mulligan, he could, man, Blackjack talked me into many buildings in my fandom, but Barry just didn't get that from him. And no, I agree. A manager for Barry Windham would have been tremendous. But anyway, it's great to see him back. You know, I did not go to WrestleCade. Did you go?
No, I did not, but a lot of our friends did.
Yeah, and I who was it that was there? Showed me a picture of Barry. That Barry was there, and I wish I would have gone now because I would have liked to seen Barry because I haven't seen him in a number of years, and was always one of my favorite. Always could. It's well documented, and it's even in Butts and Seats. Barry Windham got me drunker than anybody else in the wrestling business.
With those jalapenos in your head.
Yes, because Barry was, as you could see, big and athletic, so he could drink a lot more than a short, fat announcer could. So when you get with him, you know, it's like, wow, I couldn't hang, and he knew that. So, hey, by the way, let me ask you another question. I know Ric Flair has a podcast now.
I heard about that.
Yeah, with Mark Madden, right?
That's what I hear.
Wow, how about that? Two guys who don't know when to shut up. That should be good, right? Okay. Whoa. Ooh. Oh man. Okay.
How long until Flair gets bored?
Yeah, he's probably bored now. By the way, I just want a disclaimer. Anything that Ric Flair and Mark Madden have to say about me on their podcasts,
total lie,
is a lie.
Total lie.
Absolutely. So just wanted to straighten that one out. What else can I tell you that's kind of going on here? I don't know.
Well, I'd like to bring up something if we're just trying to filibuster and kill time.
Oh, well, we got plenty of time to kill in the next match.
Well, I just wanted to mention that the week of Thanksgiving,
okay,
Dave Silva got what he thought was going to be the best news he's had in a long, long time.
He found his dick.
Wow. That was rude.
Okay.
Comment. That was a rude comment.
Okay. Go ahead.
They opened a Whataburger here in Huntsville, Alabama.
Whoa.
Now, Dave Silva, still a Texan.
Yeah.
Reared up on Whataburger.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's not only one here in Huntsville. It is like 2 blocks from his home.
Wow.
Oh, take a listen.
Okay.
But it is also for the World's Tag Team Championship. I went back and reminded Ricky and Robert of, and Paul Jones and his men, and I want the fans to know that this is television time remaining for the World's Tag Team Championship.
And it was signed right here today on World Championship Wrestling. We are ready to go for the match for the World Tag Team title. Let's go back to the ring.
Okay.
So as we're watching right now, it's 42:02, 03, 04, 05. This show is going to go 121, 33.
Yeah.
And this is entirely the same match.
Wow.
It's not a 1 match or a 1 break match. It's not a 2 break match. This is a big time opportunity for the Rock and Rolls, Manny Fernandez, and Rick Rude to show what they can do. You're getting a live event, main event on free television here. Big deal.
Right.
Jim Crockett Promotions here.
We've had the superstars on the Superstation. We've had all those. A couple of years from now, we're going to have the Clash of the Champions, as you know, but there's never been, especially in 86, and I would venture to say since JCP took over this time slot in April of 85, there's never been a match like this on World Championship Wrestling at 6:05 on Saturday nights. Nothing like this as far as length is concerned. But so anyway, back to Silva.
Yep.
And the Whataburger.
Silva was excited. he was posting pictures all the time
Mm-hmm.
to our group chat about the progress of this Whataburger construction.
Yeah.
One day he even pulled over and talked to the guys in the hard hats and said, "How we looking, fellas?"
Jesus.
As if they wanted to talk to that little sawed off fucker. But he wanted to know how much longer until I get my sweet, sweet jalapeno burger.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
And this is real.
Okay.
They opened the Monday of Thanksgiving, the week of Thanksgiving.
All right.
Dave Silva has not been to work since. He came to my house for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Did he bring a sack of burgers with him?
Did not come into the office on Friday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Did not come to my house for the Iron Bowl, Alabama Auburn on Saturday.
Uh-huh.
Did not come for whatever wrestling hijinks there was on Sunday.
Yeah.
No show at work on Monday. No show at work on Tuesday. No show at work on Wednesday. No show at work on Thursday. And on Friday, I picked up friend of the show, Clint from Hershey.
Yeah.
Who lives right across the street from this new Whataburger.
Mm-hmm.
And I had yet to be inside this Whataburger because there were policemen blocking both turn lanes to try to prevent wrecks, because there was at least a 45-minute wait for this Whataburger because the traffic wrapped around. It's the new thing in town, right? So people from all over the county were coming to try it, which made me laugh. Like, are you serious? Whataburger sucks. I want to say it in a loud and clear voice here. I know there's a big debate online. Oh, it's better, In-N-Out or Whataburger? In-N-Out all day. And by the way, they're second best no matter what you tell yourself. Even at In-N-Out, Shake Shack is reigning supreme. Everybody knows that.
Shake Shack's awesome.
Anyway, I take my buddy through there. It's morning time though. I've never had Whataburger breakfast. So I'm like, okay, let's just give it a shot. So I pull in. To my surprise, the line is not crazy. In fact, between the window and the speaker, there's not a single car, but there is a car at the speaker. And there are 5 cars between us and the car and the speaker. And I'm wondering, how was the line only from the speaker back? How was there no traffic in front of the speaker? That's a little weird. Mm-hmm. And we sit there for a minute, for 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm 6 minutes in now, and I'm starting to wonder, am I going to miss my conference call? I don't know that I can stick around here in this Whataburger. What's going on? But then Clint from Hershey says, dude, look at the speaker. And I'm like, what? And I look and I think to myself, that can't be. And I realize it is. I roll the window down and I yell, hey, Silva, hurry it up. It's not Dave Silva. Dave Silva is convalescing at his house and has sent his wife straight from Japan down to the Whataburger. And she spent 6 minutes ordering. 6 minutes ordering. She pulls up to the window, pays her money, and then they do the old, will you pull forward?
Of course.
Car number 2 gets their food, pays, goes. Car number 3 pays, gets their food, goes. Car number 3, car number 4, car number 5. Now it's my time. She still pulled forward. They have not finished bringing her food. Then they ask me, because apparently nobody's supposed to order the chicken biscuits. But old Clint from Hershey said, hey, I want that honey butter chicken biscuit or whatever the fuck it is. I'm like, okay, I don't know. So I tell them that, and then they tell me, hey, can you pull forward? I'm like, there's somebody there. So what do you want me to do? Well, just try. So I pull forward where it's just enough now. The people behind me cannot do any business. We've accomplished nothing. Really poor planning, but it's a new Whataburger or whatever.
Right.
So eventually they bring me my bag of food and I said, hey, didn't get my drink. So then she's like, well, what are you going to do? I said, I'm just going to sit here while you get it, I guess. I mean, you told me to pull forward. So then she goes and gets it, brings it back. And now I pull around. I'm on the conference call now. I've been at Whataburger for 25 minutes. but it was mostly just waiting on Heather Silva to place Dave's order. And now she realizes who it is once I yelled at her. But what's funny is when I yelled at her, and I'll think about this until I die, she's got her window rolled down. She's leaning out, ordering God knows whatever Silva wanted. And I yell, "Hurry it up, Silva." And she does one of these. She's looking around in the car as if there was maybe somebody tied up in the trunk giving her instructions. She's not looking out into the horizon outside. She thinks maybe the voice came from inside the vehicle. Where's that coming from? Is that God sending me a sign that I need to tell Dave to take his fat ass to the office? 9:40 on a Friday morning, and he hasn't been to work in over a week. So we've decided that Dave Silva's now the bubble boy, and he's never going to actually grace us with his presence at the office again.
Which may be a good thing in many ways, but that's kind of scary. Someone who loves a burger joint that much.
It's a little weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
It's a little weird.
Apparently Whataburger is
not
is
good.
on the, well, no, I like Whataburger. I do. There's a lot of burger joints I like. In-N-Out. Oh yeah. Shake Shack, Freddy's, Five Guys.
I haven't had Freddy's yet. We've got one town over, so it might as well be in North Carolina because I'll never have it, but I hear great things.
Yeah, Freddy's is good. I like Whataburger. I was going to say that they're on the move because they're getting ready to build one close to us here in Marietta, Georgia.
A Whataburger?
Yeah,
man.
Which will be so apparently they are really taking off, and apparently the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs,
Patrick Mahomes.
Thank you, because he is from Texas, right?
Yeah,
I think. He has invested and built, like in the Kansas City area, like 15 Whataburgers that are springing up in Kansas City because he wants them and he misses them. That's how addictive for kids who grew up in Texas Whataburger is.
No, dude, listen, I get it. You know, I'm only saying Whataburger sucks here just to get a rise out of our listeners because I know it's polarizing. It's just fun.
Yeah, it is. It is polarizing, right?
I want everybody to enjoy whatever they enjoy, but I just can't imagine. Me personally, I was disappointed in myself that it took me 25 minutes to get breakfast. So I'm not doing this again. I got too much going on in my life to just be sitting in line waiting on a goddamn burger, and I won't do it again. But what's funny is when I asked Silva, because I clicked the day before this, I said, "Hey, I just want to make sure I have this right. True or false? Whataburger opened last week. True. True or false? You live very near the new Whataburger. True.
Right.
True or false? You have not crossed the threshold at the office since Whataburger's been open." And he started laughing and he says, "Are you trying to insinuate that I work at Whataburger?" And I said, "No. Just like our buddy Mark, he's not allowed within a certain amount of yards of a school. You can't be within a certain amount of yards away from this Whataburger. You're tethered to the Whataburger. It's almost like it's your grown man umbilical cord.
Right.
You can only go so far."
Right.
And he laughed and he said, "Well, that's not it." And I said, "Silva, they've been open 9 days, including Thanksgiving. How many times have you been?"
Yeah.
And he says, "What does that have to do with anything?" I said, "Just tell the truth. How many times have you been to Whataburger?" 4. Every other day, Dave Silva is consuming Whataburger. Every other day.
I'm surprised he didn't say 9, to be honest with you.
Here's the thing. He's admitting to 4. It's sort of like when you sat down with Lois way back in 1980.
Okay.
And you started saying, "Well, tell me about your old boyfriends." And eventually you get around and she says, "Just one." And you're like, okay.
Yeah. Right.
With lady math, carry the 1.
Right.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
One of those deals. So if he says 4, it's really 9.
Well, you're his boss. You can put an end to that.
No, everybody's allowed to work remotely. I mean, really, do you think my life is any better or worse because Dave Silva, I get to see him physically?
No, I get that.
Call me on the phone, text
Yeah.
me, shoot me an email. You and I are buds. We see each other twice a year. I'm fine with it.
At the most.
Yeah, because I invite you to stuff. We make plans. You don't show. We're
Right.
rinse, lather, repeat.
Yeah. And I just received recently a very nice invite from you guys.
How about that? Was that a cool invite or what?
That was very cool. That obviously we are not going to attend. So
Of course, because you just wouldn't do that.
no, that's
Here's what I want you to understand. Eric and Lori Bischoff from Wyoming.
Yeah.
They're finding their way here for that. Bruce and
Yeah.
Stephanie Pritchard from New York. They're finding their way here for that.
Right.
You just over the state line? Nah.
Yeah. Well, Eric and Bruce have a common denominator in this story.
Which is?
They're not married to Lois.
Oh, well, that's true.
So there's your thing there.
Let me freestyle this. What if next year we had a New Year's Eve party and it wasn't at the Con Radisson?
Mm-hmm.
It was at the Batcave.
Mm.
What do you think?
It wouldn't be the same.
Well, but that way Lois could attend. She could just, come upstairs.
Let's not center this on her.
I'm gonna plan a party
No,
next
don't.
year at your house.
Hey, a great match going on here.
I'm not kidding. I mean, listen, we got a DJ, we got caterers, we got bartenders.
We do not have a house built for a party. Now we've had parties. You can ask Eric and Laurie about this because they came to a Christmas Eve party we had. Or this house is not conducive to a party. This house has smaller rooms. It was built in the 80s. It is not mansion-esque like some other places I know.
What does that mean?
It's not as big as a Con Radisson. It does not have a bar. It does not have a pool. It does not have a very nice large basement. You could not have a good party here.
We're not. Yeah, buddy. I've had great parties in the back seat of a van. So we can have a great party at your house.
No.
Well, here's what we need. We need you to get some of Lois's drugs out. You can just fill up like a little fish bowl. And when people come in, we'll have some of Lois's moonshine and her pills. And people can just, it'll really be an 80s party.
Moonshine and pills.
We'll invite Aaron and Flair over and
Oh, I don't want that senile old fucker near me.
don't talk about Arn Anderson that way. Has he not been through enough this week? All in office shit, just walking to the ring. Well, he's been through enough.
Let's not confuse people here, okay?
Hey, by the way.
Yeah.
Flaming tables.
Yeah. How about that?
Well, I'm asking you in the vein of frilly toothpicks.
Yeah.
Are you for them?
I'm against them.
That was quite a visual, my friend.
Yeah, it was a visual. I get it, but it ain't safe. Sometimes you can just go too far.
You know what's fun is
yeah.
By the way, if you're listening to this with your kids in the car, first of all, shame on you. You're a bad parent. You needed someone to tell you this, but
yeah.
If your kids still believe, and you know what I'm talking about this time of year, you should go ahead and turn the radio off.
Right.
But old Pond Water Dave, he's in our group chat.
Yeah. He still believes.
I had no idea what was going to happen in the main event of that particular program.
Right. Neither did I.
And when Cody removed his jacket, I was able to put 2 and 2 together.
I was not.
And old Pond Water Dave, with a twinkle in his eye, said, boy, Cody must have been in the sun. I mean, he's got a sunburn. He's appealing.
That was
I howled with laughter, and I wanted to go find Pond Water Dave somewhere in rural Mississippi, give him a big old bear hug, sit him on my knee, and ask him what he wanted for Christmas. Because motherfucker, you believe if you so Cody Rhodes tan his whole body, shave his whole body, dye his hair, but boy, just couldn't be bothered with getting this extra skin off his back today. Are you kidding? I howled. It is the funniest thing ever. Clearly, somebody's going through some hot shit here in a minute.
Yeah. See, you picked up on it. I did not. I was not informed of what was going to happen.
But as he's moved, as soon as that jacket came off, it was flapping in the wind.
I didn't catch it. I did not catch it until he went to the trash can. And Taz says, look at his back.
On his back. Yeah. I couldn't believe Taz called attention to it, but he probably had to. He felt like shit. Nobody's saying anything about this. We have to address it.
Yeah. He did not know what was going on either. He and I talked about it afterwards because he felt bad about it, calling attention to it. And I didn't know. And I when I saw that, I'm thinking, well, there must have been some shit from the trash can that got on his back. That's exactly what I thought. I had no idea what it was. I was completely clueless. I guess I don't know. I guess I wasn't, maybe I was doing my job too well, or maybe I'm too fucking old to realize what's going on now. I don't know. But it was,
well, I felt bad, because immediately I was paying attention to Arn when he had a mishap.
Yeah.
And then when that started, I was like, he probably doesn't know it's doing that.
Yeah.
I felt like maybe, I don't know. It is what it is. I'm glad he's okay. I didn't see the finish right when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
We had some stuff going on here at the house, so I had to pause it and come back, but I was not going to miss it. And so then when I did see it, I made sure to text Cody like, dude, hope you're okay. And texted some other folks to make sure other folks were okay. And whoa, that was, whenever somebody goes through a flaming table, I don't know, you've seen that with me here on the show.
Going through a flaming table?
Yeah. We would watch it happened in ECW and things like that.
Right.
They're usually wearing t-shirts.
Exactly.
And Cody did it sans t-shirt.
Yes.
Paid the price for it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a visual, but man, this whole Cody Rhodes thing, I think, has me scratching my head more than most things in wrestling right now. Like a few years ago, you go back to like All In, dude. He's the biggest baby face in the world.
Right.
And where even the baby faces on other programs and all that, nobody could compare to the love that Cody shared with the crowd. And now, dude, it is a different era.
Yeah.
And I can't put my finger on how exactly we got here. And I know it's leading somewhere, and I'm sure it's going to be a great story and a great payoff, but it's like, what else does he need? He literally set himself on fire.
Yeah, I know. What else he need to do? I don't get it either. Although I can just tell you this: if you go to a place and the fans boo you on TV, right? Let's say that it's going to have a life of its own.
Yeah.
Fans pick up on this, and and not only that. Listen, there are a lot of fans that cheer for Cody. A lot.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
But boos are always louder than cheers. They always are. You can hear them. They cut through. So there it is. But yeah, catching himself on fire. Whoo, Lord. I guess in reality, he knew that Brandy was going to sneak in and put the table on fire. So that's why he put it on himself. There's the story there. He knew it was going to happen. He wanted to be as safe.
Former friend of the show, who's now in self-imposed exile, Matt Coon, who made our awesome theme song here on the show.
Yeah. That's about all he's done, though, isn't it?
Well, I mean, he did save your life. He takes a lot of credit for that. When you were choking to death in my basement, when he
didn't do shit.
You're fine, Tony.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Just breathe. You're breathing. If you're talking, you can breathe.
Yeah. And he woke up to say that.
He did. Anyway, point is, he tweeted out, boy, I sure am glad that Brandy came out and set that table on fire. The one that Andrade set up. There's always a smart ass in every group. Turns out Coon is ours.
Yeah.
We're talking over a pretty good match here. I want to remind everybody that Rick Rude at this point is not yet the ravishing Rick Rude that we would know and love. I mean, this is a total different presentation.
Right.
Got the big white high top boots. Got the regular tights. No airbrush. No spray paint. And look at Ricky Morton selling just like he does in those live events. It's all in his facials, right?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Morton was. It almost looks. Look how he does. I mean, he's like, look at the face when he comes up.
Yeah.
The mouth, the corners of the mouth is pulled down. The mouth is open. He just like, yeah, man, it's unbelievable stuff. And not to be a spoiler here, but I mean, obviously, this is where the Bull and Rude win the titles, right?
They do. And they wind up dropping those titles or vacating those titles when Rude leaves in 87.
Right.
So they never actually officially lose. I want to mention, even though they kept saying Cleveland, 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 Cleveland. Earlier when they were talking about not the Rock and Rolls, but the Midnights and the Road Warriors.
Right.
They're not even there. The Road Warriors wind up being this night in St. Louis, Missouri for Central States. Nikita and Flair were there, Jimmy Garvin, Barry Windham, and the Road Warriors. They did run a show in Cleveland, but turns out the Road Warriors were not on that card, and neither were the Midnights.
Well, they built it up for a scaffold match in Cleveland.
I think it's a little bit of who's on first and maybe a little bit of confusion in Jim Crockett Promotions, because I think they wound up actually performing in St. Louis that night. There were two shows, one in Cleveland and one in St. Louis, but
wow.
Either way, on the 7th, you had two shows again, one in Veterans Auditorium, which had Dusty and Nikita and Flair and Tully, one in Kansas City. So clearly a double shot because Dusty, Nikita, and Flair and Tully were there again. December 8th, same story, two shows, one in Saginaw, Michigan, the other in Greenville, South Carolina. December 9th, there's a TV taping in Spartanburg, and that's where we would see Ron Garvin and Barry Windham take on the Russians in a title match that we're probably going to be talking about next week.
Okay.
December 10th, they were in Asheville, North Carolina, and this is where we had one of those big bunkhouse matches, $25,000 on the line. December 11th, we had a show in Norfolk at the Scope, and that would see Ric Flair, the Road Warriors, and Dick Murdoch all be in a bunkhouse stampede match, or a bunkhouse stampede match in addition to those folks. And then we're back doing another TV taping with 9,000 paid at the Coliseum in Charlotte. You were the ring announcer for that show.
Wow.
And then, of course, we're doing TV here on the 13th. So we'll be back next week, picking up where we left off. And I believe somewhere in there, we're going to be talking about those U.S. Tag Team Championships, maybe doing the old switcheroo. So things are moving. And it's interesting to think about, you know, here in 86, it's not necessarily the height of it, but rock and wrestling is still a little bit of a thing on WWE programming.
Yeah.
Why do you think Ricky and Robert never made the jump to Vince? I mean, if you really are at the, you know, working this whole rock and wrestling thing through 85 and here in 86, they're the hottest act. They're selling out. You know, they were originally booked on the quote unquote B towns, but the B towns started to outdraw the A towns. So the other show had, you know, Flair and Dusty, but the Rock and Rolls on top would somehow sell more tickets in a smaller town.
Right.
I'm saying all that to say, do you think they never expressed any interest, or did they not have the look that Vince wanted just in terms of mass and muscle?
Yeah. Well, listen, through this, we are seeing the art of Ricky Morton.
Oh my God. He's putting on a clinic here.
Yes, he is. How to sell. He fights out, double team. He's fighting out. He had snot coming out of his nose. Look at him. He just sells every hold like he's getting ready to die as we go to a break. Here's my thought on all this, Conrad. It's kind of been well known that Vince never liked tag teams.
Well, yeah.
So I think that had something to do with it. I mean, there's a part of me that says if they are drawing so much money, Vince would try to pluck them just to hurt JCP, knowing how he runs his business. But he just didn't like tag teams, and maybe did they ever talk about? Did Ricky ever talk about negotiating with them at all?
No, we got to have
Yeah,
him
he was-
on the show again one day and just talk about that.
Right. Because I just think Vince didn't like tag teams, and that's not well, the focus of what he did, and he had no interest in them. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I mean, obviously he brought Arn and Tully in as the Brain Busters, but I don't know. They would have fit right in with that rock and wrestling, wouldn't they? I mean, gosh, yes. The answer is yes, they would have. There's got to be something else more to that. Look at Ricky, man. No. Mouth turned down. God. Yeah, this is the art of Ricky Morton we're watching here, buddy.
I want to, I guess we should probably address the elephant in the room. And I'm not talking about Dave Silva munching on Whataburger.
All right. Okay.
I owe you an apology. And I wanted to make sure we did it on this particular episode because it's overdue.
All right.
So I'm sorry about a few things. I'm sorry that I was wrong. I'm sorry that I gave you a false impression and false sense of hope and lulled you into a false sense of security. And I'm sorry that it turned out the way it did. And I'm sorry that Alabama beat that Georgia ass like a fucking drum.
Wow.
I'm sorry that Nick Saban owns Kirby Smart. I'm sorry that it didn't go the way I thought it would. I'm sorry I was wrong. I'm sorry you had to sit through second verse, same as the first. Nick Saban beat that ass. I'm sorry.
Apology accepted. I didn't even watch the match. I didn't watch the game.
I couldn't believe it. You texted me right after the game and you said, "Hey man, just woke up. Are we still recording tomorrow?" So I know you didn't give a shit, but buddy, I was so surprised to be wrong. I really did feel like, and I felt like this for many years. How much longer can this run Alabama's on really last?
Yeah.
So every year I'm thinking, well, this has got to be the year it ends. Like this dominance cannot continue. Like all good things come to an end. Saban's getting older. Fuck, we lost to Texas A&M. I mean, so that whole streak about Saban and his assistants, I'm like, dude, the last time we played Georgia, it was in this same building for the national championship. They bullied our ass. And then we put in a freshman who slung a miracle at the last second and came from behind. But Georgia's got our number. They've been the most dominant in every category. And then we saw that, unfortunately, there is a difference between a 5-star and a walk-on. And that never crossed my mind until I heard Colin Cowherd say it this week on TV. He said, "I want you to close your eyes and I want you to think for a minute about the sentence I'm going to say. And then when you open your eyes, you decide if it's true. A walk-on beats a 5-star." And I thought, well, there's no way that happens. And then he reminded us, well, that's what's happened. That's what you think is going to happen this week when Georgia plays Alabama. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
And it was revealed. But I will tell you this, as you and I are recording right now, we don't know for sure that Georgia's in the playoff, but you got to assume they are. I do not want Alabama to have to play Georgia again because I don't know the second one would go like that.
Well, you may be right. And, you obviously on an Alabama run right here give a lot more shit about it than I do.
Well, I just think we're playing with house money, you know, like, and I mean this. If Alabama never won a national championship again,
right?
You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
If Alabama never won another SEC championship, I'm good with it. Man, we've won so much. Like when we won in 92, it was like a great day in my life. And then when it happened again in 09, I thought, man, I got to live to see two. This is, I mean, wow, how lucky are we?
Right.
So now I'm just like, well, I mean, this is not real. This isn't going to continue, but somehow it does. But the idea that Alabama would have to but not just Alabama, but just in football, beating the same team twice in the same season, dude, that's an almost impossible task. I want nothing to do with Georgia in the playoffs. So kudos to your program. I know your kids are bigger fans than you are, but
oh my God,
we were on the edge of our seat watching that game because in our head, because I've seen a bunch of Georgia games this year, and dude, they looked unstoppable. And then I guess Saban had played all of and that was the first time Alabama was an underdog since October of 2015. There were 92 games in a row before they were an underdog. And that includes championship games, playoff games. I mean, it's crazy that Alabama has not been an underdog. And then they were, and I bought into it because it was like, dude, this just never happens. Like, we can't. And somehow, what do you know? Alabama broke it off in you again.
Yeah. I just wondered how many people in the Georgia Spear calling for Kirby's head.
Well, that's stupid. I hope not.
Well,
are you
no,
kidding?
of course they are. Of course they are.
But that didn't make any sense. He was undefeated.
Well, here's the deal.
Is?
Here's the yeah, I know, but here's the deal. They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. That's the way college football fans are. They just, you either win or you don't. And they're calling for his head probably today. I finished my signing and I drove home and I turned on the radio to hear the pregame show, part of the pregame show. And then I stopped at a mall to pick up some shirts. And then I started playing music. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to even listen because I'll get plenty of texts, during the game that I don't want to read. And so I go home and I fall right to sleep, wake up in this freaking stupor, like, oh my God, because I hadn't had much sleep because I had been in Orlando the night before. And I saw a text from Matt Schiavone, who by the way, Matt Schiavone came in for the game, apparently. Matt Schiavone, who said, fuck this goddamn team. So when I saw that, I went, uh-oh, that's not good. And I saw that I missed a couple of calls. And so I sent you a text thinking that, we got new World Tag Team Champions here, buddy. And he pulled up the tights, thinking that you would tell me, and you didn't. So after you and I text back and forth, I looked and saw the score, and I went, oh, boy, shit's on in Georgia now, man. And the shit's going to be on in Georgia. For nothing else from what you said, walk-on quarterback against five-star quarterback. Okay.
Well,
they're gonna second guess Kirby Smart about using that walk-on guy for eternity. But in reality, when I saw the score, all right, that walk-on quarterback didn't play defense and prevent them from scoring 41 points.
100%. I want to mention there was a lot of great quarterbacking that went on when they showed those stats as the game went on side by side.
Yeah.
It was hard to be upset either way. Let's take a listen now as we see the new champs at the desk.
New World Tag Team Champions, and we saw what happened. We ought to take a look once again. Okay.
Merry Christmas to both of you.
Let's take a look at what happened once again.
All right, go ahead, show it.
Okay, let's show the videotape. Here's a part of what happened, David.
There you see, good backdrop, Robert. He's in there. You got to remember about his leg. There you see Ricky over there. His arm's hurt. They had him in there the whole time. It was numb.
There was no doubt there was a game plan to work on the injuries.
He was a whole lot more than numb. He was devastated. He was devastated.
All right. Now we watch that. Come in there illegally, right? But we won't argue about that right now.
Okay, here it goes.
Ricky Morton.
All right, watch this. Watch this. He has him down for the pin. 1, 2, 3. All right, illegally. You run in there. You clothesline him. Oh, that's right. It's a figment of our imagination, isn't it?
Everybody
know how to win is
no, baby, we just took it to him. R&R came to town. The awesome twosome are just around, baby. And you see right here, money bought us these belts and everything else that's going to go with it. Oh, dude, maybe something, David Crockett, and you can eat your heart out because R&R ain't around no more. This R&R don't stand for rock and roll. It stands for ravaging and raging. And when we go around the world, we're going to show you what we mean by the awesome They know maybe that Paul Jones is something. Paul Jones is number one, and Paul Jones is owner of the World Tag Team Champions. And the silver anniversary is right now of the World Belts. And I tell you one thing right now, who could represent the World Belts as a silver anniversary better than the Raging Bull and Ravishing Rick Rude? We're so happy. Merry Christmas to everybody.
That's right, Shivani. What it amounts to is a situation where the end justifies the means, and we all know what that means. This was the end, baby, and no matter how we got them, we are the tag team champions of the world. You see, the rock and roll can strut and stroll, but the awesome twosome are much too gruesome. We are the heavyweight champions of the world. Come and get it. If you want it, you got to take it from us.
Stay in line, baby, because when we come to town, you're going to know when R&R's around, and it ain't rock and roll. It's heavy metal, and this is all about it. So rock and roll, woo, sing the blues, because the ultimate twosome are back around the corner. We're going to whip you and everybody else. Ain't that right, Mr. Jones? That's right. You're looking at it. The protection agency of number one Paul Jones, the world champions. And you people can rest ease now because you have champions. You don't have to worry about them losing them. And you have.
Wait a minute. Let's go back. Let's go back, and we want to show the fans how you guys cheated and won the belt. All right? Yeah, now watch this again.
In the ring illegally.
You're illegal too, right?
Two of them on bullet once.
All right, there.
Two at once.
Here you go. Here you go.
Hey, Robert.
There.
Robert
All right.
Gibson had
now,
the
now watch this. Besides the clothesline, you pull it tight. You pull it tight.
You know, I'm a good sport. I'm a heck of a sport. I was trying to help the man. I wanted to know that when you get beat by the hard-on, you're beat for good. That's why I was lending you a helping hand, should I say, because we are the ultimate ones for hard-on, and we are doing this. And nobody can come and say what we do and back it up like we do. So come get us if you can, baby. We are the world.
The bottom line.
Okay, there they are, new World Tag Team Champions, David.
So listen, it's a big moment. It feels like maybe the end of the rock and rolls for a little bit here.
Yeah.
And I can't help but wonder, it was working. Well, I mean, why
switch it?
Yeah, like if it's working, why? I don't get it.
Okay. The only thing I can tell you is maybe it's one of those things where, you know, Ricky Morton has been, and again, we should probably talk to him. Ricky Morton has been out there talking about how Dusty was very, very envious of them, I guess maybe is the right word. And maybe he wanted to cut him down the size. I don't know. I mean, that could be, right? That's a valid, you don't think that's a valid point, maybe? That
You know, maybe it's
ego got involved in there. I don't know. You know, we had Ronnie Garvin. We had Ronnie Garvin on here a couple weeks ago. Remember?
Yeah.
And he talked about, although he didn't go into it, he used the word politics a lot. Tony Schiavone here to tell you about the greatest value in the history of our great sport. AdFreeShows.com. Get every episode of What Happened When and all of Conrad's other podcasts early, ad-free, and on video for as low as $9 a month. That's the price of a Starbucks coffee for hundreds of hours of video and audio content each month. That's not all. AdFreeShows.com is home to exclusive bonus content, like interactive events where you get to ask me anything during our Ask Tony live events. And if you're a Top Guy member, we got to hang out for the entire weekend in Chicago at Top Guy Weekend recently. Did I mention there's also happy hour every other Sunday with my dear, good, close, personal friend, Rebel? If you call yourself a wrestling fan and haven't signed up for ad-free shows yet, you a lie. Sign up today at adfreeshows.com.
Well, he was being kind.
Right.
Dusty did not like that the rock and rolls were successful.
Right.
It's one of those deals where you hear people say things like, hey, what's that old cliche? Flair even used to say it on TV. You want to hear your friends are doing pretty good, but not better than you.
Right.
And I think perhaps that was the reason that they did this. But I wonder, like, that can't be what you outwardly say. Like, if Dusty was legitimately jealous of the attention they've gotten as top baby faces, then you can't just come out and say, no, and then they're going to lose, baby, because they don't like that they got too over. You can't say that out loud.
Right.
So instead, there has to be another rationale. And I wonder, do you think that was presented as, well, hey, maybe we should just let them chase? Like, because for years, the WWF was a babyface territory. So
Right.
it was Bruno, it was Hulk Hogan, it was Bob Backlund, and they took on all comers. They had to have a heel factory for Hulk Hogan, right?
Right. Sure.
So just a different opponent every week or every month, and he beat them 1, 2, 3, and we're on to the next one.
Right.
But the WWF had a different approach to the NWA. The NWA, like you've seen with Rick here, he's been a heel this whole time. He's been the champ most of the time, and there's always someone gunning for him.
Right.
So if you're a new baby face or a top baby face or whatever, and so I think it's just a difference in philosophy, but I wonder if that's what the way Dusty presented it, because I couldn't come up with a good reason. And don't get me wrong, I love me some Ravishing Rick Rude. He's going to go on to become one of my favorite characters in the history of professional wrestling. But him and Manny as a tag team, I didn't love it. What did you think of them as a tag team?
I know I didn't. I remember them as a tag team, and I didn't love it either. You know what? It seemed like they were just a team thrown together.
Yeah.
They weren't established like the Andersons. Of course, I don't know where Ole is in the scheme of things here now. Ole was so, in and out so much. But I mean, they weren't a team like the Rock and Roll Express. They were an established team like the Road Warriors. We had plenty of those. They brought in these two guys and just all of a sudden grouped them together. And all of a sudden, after they grouped them together, like for how many weeks? 2 weeks now prior to this, all of a sudden they're the World Tag Team Champions. I can't explain it. And maybe Dusty really liked Ravishing Rick Rude and wanted to elevate him as a champion. I don't know. I'm not disparaging Manny Fernandez because Manny was a great worker, but it's really hard to explain why this happened. You had the Russians, and I know they're the U.S. Tag Team Champions right now, but still, they were kind of established. So there have been established teams, and to give Manny Fernandez and the Raging Bull or Manny Fernandez and Rick Rude the World Tag Team Championship, don't know why. And not only that, sadly for us, it's kind of put Pistol Pez Watley, Shaska on the shelf, because Paul Jones' focus now is not Watley and the Barbarian, or as Paul Jones used to call him, the Ballbarian.
Shaska deserved better.
Yeah, of course he did. Of course he did.
Justice for Shaska.
Justice for Shaska. I agree. I can't explain it, but again, we're moving into the year that the house started to crumble. So maybe this is one of those parts of it. Started to crumble.
Well, we hope you guys have not crumbled like Tony Schiavone's hopes and dreams did for the Georgia Bulldogs, as Alabama and Nick Saban and Bryce Young personally stomped a mud hole in it and walked it dry. Arn Anderson is still not speaking to me.
I'm sure.
But we hope he's finally got up from his fall on Wednesday, and he'll be back later tonight on Dynamite. And right now, Tony, it feels like it's about that time.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is about that time. And let me say this, just like the psyche, just like the attitude of the Bulldog Nation, this show is desperately out of time. We'll see you next week. We come to you on What Happened When each and every Wednesday on the Cumulus Radio Network. But on Mondays, we come to you exclusively on
Patreon, patreon.com/WHW Monday. And of course, adfreeshows.com. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.